Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our live web event where we will be breaking down information silos, showing you how you can connect your entire operations and manufacturing in one system, having one version of the truth, which will eventually help you improve efficiencies and operate with better results. Quick introduction. My name is Dev Rawat, and I'm a solutions engineer for North America Sage X3 at Net at Work, and I will be doing the presentation today. A couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. The presentation will be about 30 to 40 minutes long. All phone lines will remain muted during this webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the questions box located at the bottom of your webinar panel. We will also have questions at the end of this session. Before we jump into the demo, I wanted to brief you about what we're going to be talking about and the key areas we'll be focusing on today. These are real-world challenges we hear most often from discrete manufacturers, and they're exactly what Sage X3 is built to address. Firstly, we're going to be talking about improving operational efficiency. So we look at how Sage X3 helps you streamline workflows, manage capacity, reduce manual effort. Whether it's automating your purchasing or accelerating production processes, the goal is to help you operate faster and smarter. Next, we're going to be talking about optimizing your processes. So we'll show you how the system gives you real-time visibility into your supply chain, so how you can proactively manage your inventory, reduce stockouts, and make better procurement decisions. Everything from demand forecasting to automatic purchase order creation and work order creation, we will cover it all. And finally, we will touch upon ensuring regulatory compliance. For any manufacturer, especially those in regulated industries, compliance can't be an afterthought. So we'll walk through how Sage X3 embeds traceability, quality control, non-conformance, electronic signatures, and audit trails right into your processes. No bolt-ons needed. A quick update on the gift card for today's attendees. There will be 3 poll questions asked during today's webinar, and you need to answer 2 of them to be eligible for that gift card. Before we dive in, I'd love to get a quick pulse of the room with a short poll. We're all here because we care about finding the right solutions for manufacturing, but what is most important to you when you're choosing software? You will see a poll in just a quick second here. So. All right, the poll is open now, so you should see that those options pop up on your screen. Again, go ahead and select the option that best reflects your top priority, whether it's flexibility and scalability, or whether it's industry specific features or ease of use and adoption. Okay, we still see responses coming in, which is great. All right, awesome. Thank you for your responses. So based on the audience result, it looks like everyone is looking for industry specific features. That's where the majority lies based on your answers. And that makes a lot of sense for discrete manufacturers. We're dealing with bills of materials, we're dealing with routings, traceability, compliance. It's not something a generic ERP can handle well out of the box, which is why we'll walk through how Sage X3 is built with your industry in mind, especially in areas like QC, production, supply chain, and so on. All right, with that said, I'm going to jump right into the demo. All right. Now what you see on your screen is the first screen an end user would see upon logging into Sage X3. Sage X3 is a browser-based platform. What that means is you can access the system through Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox, whatever your browser of choice is. The first screen you see when you log into X3 is called a landing page. These landing pages are tailored specific to an end user's needs. So what that means is right now I have logged in as a purchasing team member, which is why I landed on the purchasing landing page. But here, as you can see, we have different landing pages for the inventory team, for the supply chain team, for the sales team, and so on. Let's go ahead and log in real again quick. The idea is once I log into the system, I have access to functions that I use on a day-to-day basis. So in terms of improving operational efficiency, I'm not finding transactions, I'm not finding functions in different places. I have easy access to all the right information, all the functions I need right when I log in. Because if I want to jump into purchase orders, I've logged in, I click a button, I get into it. If I want to go into some other functions like my pricing details or supplier details, again, I can simply click in there and jump into those functions where I will access that information. My purchasing team chooses to display all the purchase orders that they are going to receive in the month of April in a calendar format right when they log in, which is why you will notice here we've got multiple purchase orders sitting out in my calendar, which displays basically which purchase order is going to be received on which specific date. Again, this is an option. I have personalized this based on my team's needs. The functions that are prevalent on this landing page, the information that is present on this landing page, all of that can be personalized based on your unique tailored needs. This is one way of configuring a landing page. Another way of configuring a landing page is by visual process flows. So just like I have multiple tabs in Google Chrome, I can have multiple tabs of X3 as well. So now when I navigate to my visual process flow tab, here you will see we have the same purchasing functions, but now displayed in a slightly different in a visual process flow manner. So now when my team is using the system on a day-to-day basis, they know exactly which transactions need to be carried out in what sequence. Again, this is a template visual process flow. You can design your own visual process flows across all the different functions of your business. So your team, again, has access to those updated visual charts and flows based on your processes, and they are being prodded in the right direction in terms of what transactions need to be carried out at what stage. Everything I am looking at right now is from a purchasing angle, as you can see, because I've logged in as a purchasing team member. But likewise, we have a different landing page for my sales team, different landing page for my warehousing team, and so on. So the minute I click on this, you will notice the landing page in the center panel is getting updated. The next thing on my landing page, so again, in terms of improving operational efficiency, I want to call out all the late purchase orders, all the delayed purchase orders on my landing page right when I log in, because now I know that, hey, these are purchase orders that are delayed. If I have delayed purchase orders, I'm going to have late work orders. If I have late work orders, I am not going to be able to deliver my material to Mr. Customer on time, and then we're not going to have a happy customer, which is not a good scenario, which is why I am calling out those late purchase orders right on my landing page. So again, critical information that I want my team to see. They do not have to run a report. They do not have to phone a friend. They simply log into the system, access the issues and alerts tab, where they have all the reports that are relevant to their business processes present for them. I have called out a few of the reports over here, like the late purchase orders, stock and QC status, rejected stock, and so on. You can define your own reports that you want to display on your landing page. All the reports that I am displaying in X3 today are available out of the box. So what that means is, as an example, if I'm looking at late orders or work orders with short stock, these are all inquiries and reports that are available for your team to leverage from day one. Sage X3 comes with about 350 plus reports that you can leverage from day one. So again, your team is getting access to the information that is relevant and necessary for them to carry out their tasks on time in an orderly manner. Within these reports and queries, you can also personalize these further. You'll say, you know what, I not only want to see the purchase order number, but I also want to see the product and the supplier product ID all on this same report. So I can add in additional fields. If I do not want to see, let's say, the order date, I only want to see the planned receipt date. I can tell the system, you know what, I do not want these two fields. I only want this field and this field. So you can add and subtract fields from these reports as well and completely tailor them to your specific needs. Sage X3 is also completely integrated with the Microsoft Outlook toolkit. So what that means is Microsoft Office toolkit, I'm sorry. So when we looked at this calendar as an example, if I have certain events on my calendar that I want populated in Microsoft Office as well, I can absolutely do that. If I have certain Excel sheets that I want to view in Microsoft Excel, I can simply look at this table, click on this icon here and click on Excel report. What that's going to do is it's going to generate an Excel spreadsheet live with all this up-to-date information in an Excel spreadsheet, where then I can leverage that data to analyze with my team. So as I mentioned, multiple tabs on my landing page. We've been navigating through each of those. The next tab I'm going to go through is my purchasing KPI tab. So let's go ahead and log in and wait for a minute while that logs in. I want to talk about our email and electronic signature workflow approval tool. So what that means is, right now, if I go on signature management, here in this function, you will notice that we have multiple different documents that are awaiting our signature. So if I come in here, you will notice that these are all the documents that are awaiting my signature that I need to sign and approve before they are ready to be transacted against. So as an example, I have set up all the quotations in my system to go through electronic signature approval. Before a quotation is signed by my sales manager, it cannot be delivered to Mr. Customer. Now again, that's an option. I get to define that. I can also set up multiple criteria for the signature. I'll say, hey, you know what? Only if it is a quotation more than $10,000 do I want you to ask for a signature. If it's less than $10,000, no signature needed. Or if I want to add a second condition to that, I can say, you know what? If it exceeds $20,000, I not only need my sales manager signature, I also need my CFO signature now. So two signatures needed because it's exceeded a different condition. So you can basically define where you want to deploy electronic signature management in the system. Again, I mentioned that I have deployed electronic approvals and signatures for quotations, but you can use electronic signatures for purchase orders. So if you want a purchase order signed before it is released to a supplier, or if you want a product record, a new SKU that you are adding, you want that to be signed and validated and approved before it's ready for your team to consume against transactions. So you get to define whether it's invoices, purchase orders, quotations, whatever document, whether it's adding a new supplier, a new product, you can add in electronic signature management in the system as needed. And these can also trigger email notifications and alerts. So what that means is, if I go into my Microsoft Office now, you will notice that we have a ton of signatures waiting to be signed. So as an example, I've got multiple different notifications here. These could be signature related as well. So let's go ahead and find one that is signature related. So if I go into this specific user now, here it's telling me, all right, the quotations that we were just looking at is telling me that, hey, this quotation needs to be signed. These are the details. This is the dollar value. Any stage where I want to set up email notifications and alerts, I can set those up within the system. So we spoke about issues and alerts, right? We mentioned, hey, you know what? These are late purchase orders. We can also set up an email notification that says, every time there is a purchase order that is delayed, I want you to send an email to Mr. Purchasing Manager letting them know that your purchase order is delayed. So please go ahead and sign it or approve it, so that you can basically receive it on time. All my Outlook notifications. So let's close that back out. All right, I'm going to quickly pause to see if there are any questions so far. In terms of navigation and operational efficiencies, a couple of points I want to drive home. How is an end user navigating the system on a day-to-day basis? When they log in, we give them access to functions that they use right away at the click of a button. So if they need to jump into POs, I can simply click in there. It's going to take me to that purchase order function. If I want to jump into any of these other functions, it will allow me to do that as well. Other relevant information, if I want to call out products that are sitting in rejected status on my landing page, I can call those out. Like in this case, this is in rejected status, not a good scenario, which is why I have called those out. So my team gets these reports, gets access to this information right when they log in and access the system versus hunting down information. So these are reports typically an end user should be seeing every morning when they come into the office, or at the start of every week when they want to see what are the transactions falling through the cracks. And then they'll come in here, look at all the details, look at the functions where they can access specific transactions, specific purchase orders, specific suppliers, products, and carry out their day-to-day transactions. Finally, the tab that summarizes all this information is my performance my key performance indicators. So these are the key performance indicators that I have defined for my purchasing team. You get to define your own KPIs. So we'll give that a minute while that loads up. I want to make sure I covered everything in terms of navigation and accessing the system. All right, let's jump in. The next thing I do want to talk about is master data. So I'm going to open a different tab here. And just like that, you will notice that I can open different tabs within Sage X3. So if I'm running multiple versions, let's say if I want to look at purchase orders on one screen. So if I want to open purchase orders on one screen, I want to open products on a different function, I can absolutely do that, work on multiple tabs in tandem. Split my screen if needed as well, just like that. And if I have multiple monitors, I can split and work on multiple monitors as well. That's how a concurrent license helps us. We can have multiple tabs open off the same system. So again, just an added tool in terms of navigation and ease of use and usability. Back to our key performance indicator tab. So this tab essentially summarizes all the information that we have defined, all the KPIs that I have defined for my team. I can also slice and dice within this. So let's say if I want to apply a filter, I'll say, hey, you know what? I want to look at data for this specific month. I will simply click in there. And now you will notice all the information in the background has auto updated based on that selected filter that I applied. The key performance indicators I have identified are my spending statistics, cost efficiency, delivery performance, and quality, but you can define what your own key performance indicators are and have them populated automatically. So as and when transactions are entered on a live basis in the system, these KPIs are getting updated, right? So your team has live up-to-date information at all times. Same thing with these reports and inquiries. All these transactions, all these reports are updated live. As soon as transactions are entered, they will be populated within these reports if they do meet those criteria. Sorry. Within this KPI dashboard, I do want to highlight that we have the ability to drill in as well. So let's say if I want to drill into a specific KPI, I can click on this specific number. It will help me drill into that specific number, and then I can drill down to a transaction level detail as well. So as an example, in the specific month, if I spent $1 million, 867,000, I can click in there. It will take me to an invoice level detail and then to a transaction level detail of where these amounts are coming from. And then I can investigate the details as I need to. So again, what we're trying to drive home here is I am looking at a 20,000 foot view right now for my KPIs, but I can zoom in as many times as I want to in terms of multiple sites, multiple vendor groups, or if I want to drill into a transaction level detail into any of these amounts as well, I can click into those values and drill into the transactions. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is our product master. Again, from a regulatory standpoint, from an operational efficiency, there's certain transaction level details we're tracking on a product. So number one, I am looking at a product master right now. So this is my product for an all-terrain adult bike. As you can see, this is my product code. I've got an image for reference. We do have the ability to add attachments within the system across all functions, across all transactions. In this case, I have added in a spec sheet for the specific bike. So anyone in my organization who needs access to this PDF document can come into the product for this specific product and access the spec sheet, which is saved as a PDF file. Within X3, you can add electronic documents. They can be audio files, video files, PDF documents, images. As long as it's an electronic file, you can add it as an attachment within the system. Multiple different areas to add attachments. I am adding in attachments on a product, but you can add attachments on invoices, on quality control documents, on product records, on purchase orders. You get to define where you want to add attachments or comments, just like this one, and you can add attachments and comments across the system wherever needed. Again, from an ease of use, sharing information standpoint, we've seen that leveraged multiple times. Super important. In terms of units of measures, we have the ability to track as many units of measures in the system. Let's say if this is a purchase product that I'm purchasing in cases, I will simply set it up as a case. And let's say I'm purchasing 10 eaches in a case. So now every time I purchase this product, it's going to purchase it in cases and stock it in eaches, as you can see. So you can have a different purchase unit of measure, different sales unit of measure, different stocking unit of measure. You can have multiple sales unit of measures as well if you need that to be. In terms of finance and accounting, you will notice that we've tied in an accounting code here as well. So all transactions tied to the specific product will flow to the GL, to the correct account based on this configuration. So again, no manual input for those journal entries, for those general ledger entries. All of that will be automated because the system recognizes which account it is posting that transaction to. We do also have the ability to have multiple versions of a product if you need to. So again, version management, I have not turned it on, but you could turn it on. We have the ability to have stock managed products versus certain products that are not stock managed. Lot management is an option. You can turn that on. Serial number management as well. I have turned on lot management as well as serial number management in tandem together. You could use either of those two as well. You can say, hey, you know what? I want only serial numbers, no lot numbers, or vice versa, or both, or neither. You get to define how you are setting up a product. So everything I'm talking about right now is set up on a product to product basis. So this is one major way we're improving operational efficiencies, where we're reducing manual work, manual processes. We're keying in all the master data in the system already on the product master, providing real-time visibility, where we spoke about reports and dashboards, and reducing bottlenecks in terms of issues and alerts. All right, before we move forward, I do have another quick poll for you. I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll. All right, so there's a poll. What is your biggest operational pain point right now? Take a moment to pick one of the options that resonates most with you, even though I know some of you could actually check all of those options off. So these are the pain points we hear typically from discrete manufacturers all the time. Things like managing compliance is in highly regulated environments, getting visibility into your supply chain, production scheduling, that seems to be a major pain point as well. And then real-time reporting, that's a big one. If you're looking at making decisions, on-time decisions, relying on outdated information is never a good scenario. Okay, I see that all the poll questions are in. Awesome, thank you. So I see that we are leaning towards production scheduling. That seems to be the major pain point within the audience today, and we will be talking about production pain points, production scheduling. It is a common bottleneck, especially if your production schedules are changing all the time. There are multiple tools that are available that could help you. And again, it's completely understandable when you're looking to work with things like lead time constraints, work center constraints, raw material availability. All of that can be challenging as well. And then the runners up we had was inefficient supply chain management and lack of real-time reporting. All right, that's awesome. That really helps. Thank you for that added information. So we did touch upon real-time reporting already. If you do have any further questions with regards to real-time reporting, feel free to type those out in the questions box. I will be covering supply chain is actually what we're going to be jumping into next. And then we will cover production scheduling as part of that process as well. Awesome, thank you for that poll. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out back on our X3 screen. Okay, so in terms of supply chain planning, a couple of things that I want to point out again in terms of improving operational efficiency. Right now, we're back looking at that all-terrain adult pike, as you can see. This is at a specific manufacturing facility. If I go into my planning tab, here you will notice that we have pointed out a safety stock. So for my team to plan, for my purchasing team to plan, for my manufacturing team to plan, I've put out a safety stock. I've also put out an EOQ for purchased products. I also have a technical lot for manufactured products. So these are parameters that you can define for purchased products, for manufactured products, that will give your planning team a starting point. Again, from a planning standpoint, you want some of these there at all times. You want these considered when you're placing those POs, placing those work orders. You need these to be present, which is why we have called those out. Over here, you can also factor in lead time. So again, just keep this in note for the next step that we will see, where we're entering in lead times, entering in economic order quantities, safety stock quantities, and so on. All right, the next thing I'm going to go into is supply chain automation. How do we automate our supply chain? So this visual process flow on your screen essentially summarizes supply chain activities in the system. Sage X3 is a demand-based system. So what that means is we start off with sales orders and a sales forecast, which eventually lead into our MRP MPS engine, which will give our purchasing team suggestions as to what ingredients, what components, what raw materials need to be purchased, and our manufacturing teams in terms of what work orders need to be executed to meet that demand. So step one is setting up a sales order or a sales forecast in the system, right? To tell the system exactly what our customer has ordered, how much of it have they ordered, and when have they ordered. All of that information is fed in terms of sales orders or sales forecast. If you are running a system where it's make to stock, you can absolutely enter in a forecast and plan for that forecast. Couple of forecasting options we can leverage. So Sage X3 does have an artificial intelligence tool that will leverage AI to calculate your sales forecast for you. It will leverage forecasting algorithms, look at historical data, analyze trends, and then tell you exactly what your forecast should be on a customer to customer basis, on a product to product basis. So again, that's something you do not need to do from an automation standpoint. The system can calculate that forecast for you so that you know exactly what demand to expect in the coming period. Once you've got that demand entered into the system, the next step is our planner's workbench. So when I go into my planner's workbench and I hit the search button, it's going to show me all the work orders that are being executed in the system right now or that need to be executed. So line number one, as an example, is a children's road bike that needs to be executed. That this is the work order that we need to start. Along with this work order, it's telling us exactly what quantities we need, what date we need to start this work order by, what product we need to manufacture. All the details are fed in with our MRP engine automatically. All I need to do is come in here and plan and initiate that work order. So again, from a planning standpoint, the system recognizes what Mr. Customer needs, on what date they need it. Based on that, it's telling me, all right, this is a manufactured product. This is what you need to manufacture. So on my planner's workbench, which is what my work order or my production manager is going to use, they're going to come into the screen and look at all the different results. So in this case, you will notice some reduce as well. So this is a work order that is a firm work order that is in the system. It's telling me we need to reduce the quantity for this work order. So either you create new work orders, you reduce quantities of existing work orders, increase quantities of existing work orders. X3 will calculate all the information for you, calculate all the quantities for you, the starting date, the end date for you, and give you that information. So all your team needs to do is review it, evaluate it, make any updates as necessary, and then go ahead and either create that work order and carry out that transaction. Now that we have got our work orders, so how do we create work orders, right? How do we automate work order creation? I keep using the term work orders, but you may use batch orders, production orders. All these terms could be used synonymously. How do we create work orders? Number one, in an automated fashion by leveraging our MRP tool. Or you can also go on the work order function and create an ad hoc work order on a 1:1 basis if you want to create a work order manually as well. Once we've created a work order, what happens next? Our purchasing team now gets a planning starting point to what needs to be purchased. So now when I go into my buyer's workbench, so I'm going to look at things from a buyer's angle now. And now when I look at my buyer's workbench, you will notice, let's say if I type in a different range and I'll say search, now what the system is going to do is within this product range, It's going to show me all the products that I need to purchase. It's also telling me what quantities I need to purchase, what date I need to receive them by, who my supplier is, and what the pricing is. Again, from an automation, from an ease of use standpoint, all of this is being automated for me. I don't need to calculate any of this manually. No more spreadsheets, no more phone calls. All of this information is readily available for me. As a purchasing manager, all I need to come in and do is say, you know what, I'm only going to purchase the sprockets today. Let's go ahead and enter in that product code. Now when I click search, it's showing me five different line items that I need to place an order for these specific sprockets. Once I have my results, so multiple different ways to filter my results. As you saw, I can put in a product range. I can put in a supplier range as well and say, you know what, I want to order these products across multiple suppliers. I want to see, hey, you know what, all of these products across multiple suppliers and for this date as well. So I can define multiple different criteria for what results I want to view. So again, when I click search, the system will apply these results and then will apply these filters and then give me results. So let's say if I'm purchasing only boxes, I will input a product ID only for boxes. Or if I'm purchasing containers, I can put in a supplier code only for my containers for that supplier, and the system will give me results accordingly. Once I have got my results, I can select the lines that I want to include, exclude all lines, select a couple of lines, or include all lines, exclude a couple of lines. Once I've done that, I can simply hit that generate button, and then the system will help me generate those purchase orders automatically. Now, this is one way to generate it. If I do want to make updates on the screen, I can absolutely make updates as well. I can update quantities. I'll say, you know what, I want this to be 200, not 180. If I want to change my supplier, if I want to change the pricing information or the requirement date, any of that information can be updated on the screen itself before I release those purchase orders. Again, from an information sharing standpoint, I have configured a workflow where every time I generate a PO, there is a PDF document that is automatically generated that generates the purchase order and emails it to Mr. Supplier as well. So the system is looking at two unique suppliers in this case, creating two unique PDF documents and emailing those POs to the suppliers as well so that they have all the information. Again, all of it in an automated fashion at the click of a button from within X3. So now that we've ordered our product, the next step would be to report production activities. We do have the ability, we have full shop floor control within the system. We have a shop floor module where you can track your time, material, labor, and report all of those as and when you track it, right? So either if you want to report it at the end of every hour or at the end of every shift, or if you're reporting it at the end of every week. You do have the ability to track actuals for each of those by leveraging our shop floor control module, which will help you log in, log out, sign in, sign out, timestamping, all of the good stuff present within that module. Once we've reported all of those, the idea is to do a comparison for our actual costs versus our standard costs. So what that means is right now I'm looking at work order number 5. And in this case, you can see we've got actual costs and expected costs. Actual costs for material, labor, machine, subcontract, and overhead. Each of those bifurcated with the actuals and expected. The goal is, in this case, you can see that I've significantly exceeded my labor cost based on what my team reported. So now I need to investigate this specific batch, this specific work order, this specific production run and say, you know what, let's find out what went wrong with batch number 5. Why is my labor cost significantly more? So from a costing standpoint, we have the ability, and I did also want to highlight that for tracking, we are using standard costing as a valuation method. You can deploy whatever your costing method is, whether it's average lot cost, last purchase price, or whatever any other costing method you may deploy can be leveraged as well. All right, the next thing we're going to transition into is quality control. So now we're going to talk about regulatory compliance. Sage X3 does have full QA/QC capabilities within the system. Right now, multiple scenarios by which product can enter the quality control room. So in this case, this is a visual process flow that summarizes quality control activities. Products that we purchase are received from a supplier. They undergo into the quality control room. Products that I manufacture at the end of a work order, they will also go into quality control. And then there are certain products that during the manufacturing process, I want to carry out testing, I want to test for results, and then those will go to quality control. So multiple scenarios, I define which products I want to carry out quality control for and which products I do not want to carry out quality control for. So I'm defining that on a product to product basis. Let's go ahead and enter the quality control room, the inspection room, where I have a ton of products awaiting inspection. So in this case, you will see that this is a supplier receipt for some tires that I've purchased, and I've received 300 of these products in Q status. Q status in X3 stands for quarantine status. That means this product is under quality control. As you can see, 300 of these are under quality control. That means these tires cannot be utilized for a work order before I move them to A control status. I need to evaluate them and move them either to A status and approve them so that my team can consume them against a work order, or I will reject them so that, and then either return them to the supplier and raise a debit note, or I will destroy them if my supplier does not allow those returns. I do also have the ability to carry out testing results. So in this case, I have defined a series of 3 different questions that I am asking my quality control team to input results for. So every time they receive these tires, they have to answer these questions before they can approve this product. I get to personalize what these questions look like on a product to product basis. So I have asked, does it meet my visual inspection threshold or not? I'll say yes, it passes that. What is the weight of a wheel? I will input that in grams. And then did it pass the inflation test or not? I'll say, hey, you know what? It passed. So every time my team receives product of the specific SKU, they do have to input results from an audit trail standpoint, from a testing standpoint, so that these results are available for years to come if they need to be recalled at any point. So now just like that, I've saved that. Now I will go ahead and move this to accepted status so my team can basically carry out production by using these tires. So again, that's a quick snippet of quality control. So you get to define which products undergo quality control, whether they're manufactured products, received products, on a product to product basis. You get to carry out testing, note down results. What did your team observe when they received this product, when they tested it, when they inspected it, and then they will either pass it or reject it based on what they find in their testing results. We also have a non-conformance module built into the system. So what that means is corrective and preventive action reports. So you may use the term non-conformance, you may use the term CAPA or corrective or preventive action report. This is what essentially it entails, where I'm tracking details about what the non-conformance is. I am tracking an action plan where I am assigning preventive and corrective action items and action tasks to team members. So here you'll notice, based on that non-conformance, I have identified what my action tasks are. I have also identified who the actioner is. So now these team members know exactly what they need to carry out. They are all getting emails saying, hey, Mr. User, there is an NCA created number 046 where you have an action item that you need to carry out. So all of this can be tracked within the system, right where you execute that action plan, review it, and close it. Again, from a regulation standpoint, from a regulatory standpoint, super critical to track those non-conformances to make sure you're improving, to make sure you're constantly improving your processes. We also have change management within the system. So again, where you can identify a change, analyze the impact, then highlight an action plan, and then eventually review and close it. All of that native within the system. All right, last couple of functions that I want to talk about: serial number traceability. So for any product, we have forward or backward traceability. So what this means is I am inputting the product ID for a finished good. I want to find out all the serial numbers or the lot numbers that were consumed to produce this product. So let's say If I go in here and I select a serial number, so I'm telling the system that I have this bike and this serial number, and I want you to show me exactly what were the components used to to produce it. So here you can see that I produced this specific bike. I leveraged these carbon fiber rims with their own unique serial number and their lot number called out. And then I've also used these saddles. So all the products that were utilized to produce this product, all the lot numbers and the serial numbers that were utilized to produce this product are being tracked at all times, as you can see. So again, from a traceability standpoint, we get full visibility into what products we manufactured in terms of lots and serial numbers. If you want to use one or the other, either lots or serial number, you could do that too. All right, the final function we're going to talk about is our product design function. This is an R&D sandbox environment where our R&D team, our research and development team can basically leverage the sandbox environment to carry out a product design bill of materials. So what this means is right now, this is a product design that I'm looking at. This information sits separately from what is in my master bill of material in the system, right? Master bill of material is different. This is different. Here we've got a design code where I've got an Explorer mountain bike that I am designing. My R&D team is designing. And then we've called out a bunch of different products that I am using as part of this component. So what does the bill of material look like? So what does the design bill of material look like? These are the 4 different products that I am leveraging to produce this product. As you can see, I can add in as many products as I want to in terms of the design. I've also got multiple versions. So this is revision 3. You'll notice you've got revision 2 and 1 present here as well. I'm tracking the quantities for each of these. I'm tracking the cost for each of these. So from a costing standpoint, from a quantity standpoint, I can basically test as much as I want to with this design before it is ready to be approved and ready to be published. So the idea is I will come into the screen, look at what my costing looks like for this product. Once everything looks good, I have basically revision 3, which is now good. I will go ahead and publish that bill of material. What that would do is it would take this product and publish it into my standard SKU list in the system, ready for my team to use and leverage. So again, just an added functionality which is separate from my master bill of material. This is purely for my R&D team, which they can leverage for costing purposes, approval purposes before it is released for standard transactions. I did also want to highlight our factory scheduling tool, so our work order scheduling tool. So remember, again, this is added based on your feedback, based on that poll question. Right now, I am in my master scheduling function. This is a scheduling function, scheduling tool that we use called the web scheduler. And now what I'm going to do is I'm showing you all the work orders. So notice work order number 13, work order 14, and so on. We have multiple work orders that are not scheduled. What I'm going to do is simply click this plus icon, and what the system is going to do is schedule all my work orders for me. So now it's taken all the work orders that I had and it's scheduled those for me. Up here, it's showing me all my different production lines. So let's say if I want to look at these 5 production lines, you will notice now this updated. In this case, I have come to, let's talk about this frame assembly unit. This is where I'm assembling my frames. As an example, if I come in here, you'll see all the different work orders called out that are scheduled on this specific screen. My work order scheduling tool does account for capacity constraints. So it's looking at what my available time is on this work center. So if I run 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on this machine, it's only going to account for that. If I don't have raw material in stock, it will not schedule those work orders. This is a work order that's going through different units. So you will see first it's going to my frame assembly unit, and then it's moving down to my packaging unit. So it's going from up down to there. I can click and drag this as well. I'll say, you know what? I want to move this slightly before. The minute I move it before, it's showing me that warning saying, hey, you know what? You're starting the next step before even starting the previous one. So please don't do that. I'll say, all right, let's go ahead and fix that, and I will move it forward. We also have alternates defined. So in this case, 42 and 43 are my packaging lines. So I'll say, you know what? I want to leave packaging line 42 open. Let's just put everything on line number 43. Just like that, I can click and drag it from one machine to another. So from a planning, from a scheduling standpoint, the system is automatically calculating the schedule for me and planning for me based on raw material availability, based on my labor availability, based on machine timing, based on what my work order schedule is. It's accounting for all of that, looking at my sales order dates, accounting for all that information and scheduling those work orders for me in an automated fashion. All right, so that is a quick note on scheduling. Again, all of these topics we discussed today, we can spend hours on each topic individually. The goal today was just to give you a flavor of these topics and an understanding of what we can do at a high level. A couple of closing notes. I did also want to talk about, yeah, sure. Let's move on to the final piece, which is, I do believe I have one more polling question for you next. All right, there you go. You should see that poll up on your screen. So final poll before we open up for a quick Q&A. We've covered a lot today, as I mentioned, scheduling, traceability, real-time reporting. A lot of that was significant. It's always interesting to see with different teams what some of you might be thinking in terms of where you were looking at these specific improvements. All right, I still see responses coming in. I'll give that still a few seconds here. All right, awesome. Thank you for all your responses. I see all the responses are in. So yeah, it looks like inventory management and traceability is what you are looking for, is what you found most beneficial. I'm glad you found that helpful. It is essentially the backbone of so many operations, just having traceable inventory, managing it on an automated basis. So yeah, having a clear view of what you have, where it is, and how it moves through the system is key to staying lean and responsive. And since you did mention inventory management and traceability, I do want to leave you with a specific function that is super beneficial, is our available to promise inquiry. So when I go into this specific inquiry, I can come in, look for a product, and now let's say I want to show you a different site. So let's do that. So now when I click search, you will notice, since you were talking about inventory visibility, this available to promise, available stock inquiry shows me what's on hand, what's on order, what's available to promise week by week on a week by week basis. Oh, let me close that question. Sorry about that. So I did want to show you all the available stock inquiry, which you can see on my screen now. This available stock inquiry is, I've inputted a product ID. Now for the specific product ID, we've got what's in hand in stock, what's on reorder as well. So what's coming in, what's going out, and what does this look like on a week to week basis? I can break this down by month, by day. So I know exactly what I have now, how much I will have on a week by week basis, so I can plan accordingly. All right, so that was a quick note on inventory visibility as well. Let's go back to our closing slides. All right, with that said, the floor is now open for questions. Feel free to type in any questions you may have at this time. All right, I see those questions coming in. The first one I have here is, can X3 handle both make to stock and make to order manufacturing? Yes, absolutely. That's a great question, actually. So we did talk about sales orders. So when I come in here and I show you this visual process flow, in this case, for all our make to order products, we have sales orders that can be leveraged by the MRP tool to plan. In terms of make to stock products, I can basically generate what my forecast is, and then I will plan for that forecast. So yes, we can absolutely do both make to order or make to stock. And even you can even do that on a product to product basis. Okay, next question I have here is, how does X3 handle changes to bills of material over time? Oh, so again, from a traceability standpoint, from an audit trail standpoint, we can turn on revision management across all our functions. So whether you want to track, whether you want to create an audit trail and track changes for bills of material, for products, for suppliers, invoices, you can turn on revision management and audit trail management for any function, which will store each and every change that was made in the system, by which user it was made, at what time it was made. So you have full traceability at all times. Do we have a mobile solution for shop floor entry? Yes, absolutely. We do have a handheld device solution that's called mobile automation, which basically helps you leverage handheld devices, barcodes, scanner guns, QR codes, all of that good stuff, which you can leverage for your people who are working on the shop floor so that they can input data into the system easily without having an actual computer. And this can be a handheld device or even a cell phone. Okay, keep those questions coming in. All right, I'm gonna keep moving. If you do have questions, feel free to type them in, and I will be getting to those questions if those come in. Thank you for joining us today. As promised, for those of you who did attend and answered two or more poll questions, an e-gift card will be sent to the same email that you used to register for this event. So it should be delivered in about 24 hours from now. Thank you for joining us today. For future next-gen ERP and other educational sessions, visit our website under netatwork.com/webinars. There is also an extended library of content on our website to assist in your education and selection process. We are always ready to help. A couple of more resources where you can reach out to us for help. Thanks again for attending, and see you at our next session. Goodbye.